So one of the biggest talking points in the NBA every year is who has the brightest future. And right now people would probably say, OKC, San Antonio, but there is no light without the darkness to counter it. So let's look at the other side of the coin and ask which teams have the worst futures in the NBA. Before we start talking about who's got the worst future in the NBA, if you haven't already, make sure to leave this video a like, give us a subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on one of our videos.
Let's get into some honorable mentions first. The classic Watch Mojo. Blazers, we got to bring them up. Our team, there's some bright spots. Shaden, Tumani Kamara, you got Denny Avdia, you got Klingon, who in that last preseason game was balling out. And then you have some assets like Anthony Simons, Ayton, maybe a team would also take a flyer on him, Jeremy Grant, but at the same time, this dude Shaden Sharp always gets injured. Scoot still is not looking good. Don't peep those field goal percentages.
Couple tour dates there.
Yeah, but at the very least, we got some future assets from the Bucks. We got some young players here. We're not in the worst spot, but we're not in a very good one whatsoever.
Editing race here. We recorded this audio before opening night. Let's just pretend the Blazers are on this list proper, okay? Yeah, and then there's the Bucks. They still have Dame and Giannis, which should keep you in contention for the next couple years. Plus, if they eventually do decide to rebuild, they're going to get a haul for Giannis, even on the wrong side of 30. But Dame is 34. Giannis is going to turn 30 in December, and they don't control their own first-round pick till 2031. So, not the worst situation in the world. You still probably got a couple years of contention left with Dame and Giannis if you decide to ride it out. But once those two are gone, could be rough sledding in Milwaukee for a while.
And then last one, the Lakers. At first, you'd think more of their future firsts have been sent out, but it's actually only the 2027 pick, and it's still top 4 protected. Obviously, LeBron, he's not going to be there much longer. They do got Bronny. Maybe he can fill those shoes. But in all reality, they're still the Lakers. They're in Los Angeles. They'll have AD. Only one pick is gone. I'm really not worried, but at the same time, they are getting very old at this point.
And they're the Lakers. Some star's always going to want to play there, right? So, on to the actual teams. First of all, we got the Chicago Bulls. And the Bulls, on the draft pick front, not even the worst. They have all their picks except for a first in 2025, and even then it's heavily protected. It's probably not going to convey, but the Bulls are just a team that really has needed to start rebuilding since the end of the 2023 season. They made the playoffs in 22, and I guess being the 6th seed and losing in 5 games in the first round of Milwaukee has convinced Bulls management and ownership that, oh yeah, this is a team that can contend, because they have just doubled down on what is at best a very mediocre core of players.
It's weird because they're still in this mid zone where they refuse to 100% blow things up. DeRozan does walk in free agency, and then over the offseason you trade your best defender, one of the best role players in the league in Caruso, for Giddey. I mean, sure, they have some young guys like Kobe White, Ayodosumu, they got Buzelis coming in. I liked what I saw from him early on, but the other thing, even the guys they have that you think they could get assets for, they're not getting shit. Zach LaVine. 2 years ago, probably, but at this point, they're not getting anything. They probably got to send out something for him.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years ago, if you had sent LaVine to the Lakers, the big rumor was at the time, you probably could have at least gotten a heavily protected first-round pick for him. Now, yeah, they're going to have to give up assets to get rid of LaVine, because he's making $40 million a year for the next 3 years. LaVine's a good player, but who wants that? And the other guys Lonzo, he could probably get you a little bit something. Vucevic, no. So, again, not the worst situation in the world, but the Bulls, they held on to something, I guess, for too long, and now they're struggling to transition to their new era.
How about the Washington Wizards, though? They're in that bottom tier teams. There's the Blazers, the Hornets, the Wizards, and the Pistons. Just the teams that haven't had the best past couple years. Blazers make the honorable mention list, and the Pistons and Hornets, they feel they're more developed in their rebuild, where they didn't make the list either. And for the Wizards, you basically got Sarr, Koulibaly, and Kispert. That's all they got in terms of foundational guys, and Kispert, really, is he that good? He's got a good good skill set. He can shoot, but he's like a 5th or 6th man.
And he's a good role player. He's
Yeah.
not like a foundational star for a team.
And Sarr, we'll see. The Summer League, he looked awful. Preseason, he looked better. Koulibaly, I don't think he's going to be an offensive piece, but a two-way player could be very good. It's just really too early to tell on these guys to say, like, what position they're in.
Yeah, I mean, Sarr and Koulibaly are babies in the NBA, so, give them time. And, we thought about putting the Hornets or the Pistons on this, but the Hornets are off because really they were only as bad as they were last year because of injuries. And, they got LaMelo, Brandon Miller, Bridges. They should be better this year. And the Pistons also, I think, should be better. Monty Williams, I think last year, just his heart wasn't in it. They got Cade, they got Jalen Duren. They got some pieces. The Wizards, they got those 3 guys who, they're fine. And then outside of that, Kuzma, Poole, Brogdon, like those guys aren't going to be able to be flipped for that many great assets. I mean, the Warriors had to give up a first-round pick to get rid of Poole. I mean, maybe you could get a first for Brogdon or for Kuzma. And the Wizards, they do have all their first-round picks outside of 2025. But again, like the Bulls, that pick is heavily protected. And they do control a couple other first-rounders. They have the Blazers first-rounder in 29. They have the right to swap with Phoenix in 2030. But, I mean, the young guys they have right now, who knows if they're going to be difference makers? And even if they are, that's a ways away. The older guys on their roster they could send out for future assets probably aren't going to fetch you much, but maybe they should be excited. Because like you said in last Friday's video, they got some French young guys.
Who doesn't love that? That's what I'm all about.
But it's probably going to take a while. That's all I'm saying. Now on to Phoenix, and the Suns are probably going to be fine for like the next year or two. Like they still have Durant, Booker, and Beal. They'll be respectable, but not amazing by any means. Like they're still going to make the playoffs. They got Budenholzer, who's a great coach, and if Beal, Booker, and Durant can all stay healthy, and that is a massive if, like they should be better. But beyond this upcoming season, I guess maybe next season, like the problems for this team are immense. Like first of all, your best player is Kevin Durant, who just turned 36 a month ago, and while he's still playing great ball, he still looks great. You got to worry about a guy his age either declining or suffering some kind of injury, which has happened to him over the past couple years. Secondly, you got Beal, one of the worst contracts in all of sports, averaging $50 million per year for the next 3 seasons with a no trade clause. So even if you find a team willing to take him off your hands, Beal has to agree to go to that team. Thirdly, they're completely capped out for the next 2 seasons. They're going to have to shed salary if they want to get below the second apron. And fourthly, they don't control their first round pick until 2031. Has there been a contending team in like the last 5 years of the NBA that's been mismanaged worse?
No. I mean, there isn't. This team made the finals and was up 2-0 in 2021. It looks like they could have won the title that year. I know Giannis goes crazy. I mean, the other team that gets brought up is the Lakers in 2020, but at least they didn't shake things up too much. I know the Russ move was awful, but they didn't ship out all of their future first.
I was gonna say, at least they didn't nuke their chances to rebuild after that core is gone.
I mean, it's just crazy the fact that they don't control their future first until 2031, and then the second apron is just gonna kill them as well. They're gonna be a pretty good team for the next couple of years as long as Durant doesn't fall off a cliff or something, but once it hits, this is gonna be ugly. And now for the Clippers. They got that new shiny arena in Inglewood, and I don't know if you've seen the videos. You can hoop outside, just anyone can come hoop. It looks beautiful. It looks perfect. No line for the toilets. This is amazing. Everything about the arena is perfect.
I love that they have stuff on the seats where you can control stuff on the double-sided video board, and you're focusing on no lines for the toilets.
I mean, you got to be quick, in and out. That's what I'm all about, the efficiency. So the arena looks great. The team in the situation does not, and it's just sad, the whole Kawhi situation. Fully healthy, they're still not a championship team, but they're much better, and now you're paying this dude who probably isn't really going to play a ton of games $50 million a year for the next 3 seasons. Harden is owed $70 million over the course of the next 2 seasons, and that's basically it. I mean, you don't have any other dudes really locked up to long-term deals. You got Norman Powell and Derrick Jones Jr., but the problem is, just like Phoenix, you're not controlling your first-round pick, and for them, they might not even be a playoff team. In fact, they won't if Kawhi's not playing. At least they have their future first in 2030, though. They get it 1 year earlier, but I don't care. They're going to be so bad. I would rather be in the Suns' position because they're just going to be so fucking bad. They might be one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I would make the argument that the Suns' situation from like contracts and picks is like marginally worse because the Clippers haven't committed a ton to salary next season and they do have like slightly better draft capital than Phoenix. But the difference is the Suns are going to be at the very least decent right now. Like theoretically, if everything broke right for them, they could make a deep playoff run or maybe even win the title. Like if you simulate this season 1,000 times, there's probably like 10 seasons where the Suns win the title, right?
Yeah, I think maybe even more. Like they could win the title. They won't. They're the Suns, you know.
Yeah.
After what we saw last season, they won't.
0% chance that happens for the Clippers this year.
Yeah, there's no chance the Clippers win. And like, we feel bad for Kawhi. Like,
yeah.
Part of it is funny. He's in these like NBA season, like getting ready for the season. Him and Anthony Edwards tipping the ball. Like, oh, we're hyped for the new season.
But like, as fans of a team that's had multiple superstars' careers derailed by injuries, like it is sad to see because it's clear his body just can't hold up to the stresses of playing in the NBA. Because like, according to the reports that just came out about his latest new injury, like it's not a meniscus tear, it's not an ACL, it's not like a break in the bone or anything. It's just knee inflammation. And apparently like he suffered a setback to whatever this injury is in July. It's the middle of October.
And when it comes to being out indefinitely for Kawhi,
never a good sign.
Yeah, realistically, I think that means months. And I really wouldn't be shocked. I don't want to put it out there to like make it happen or something. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't play just because it's Kawhi. Like it happens. It's such a sad situation, but we've seen it for years now. What happens when he gets injured?
I mean, he missed basically an entire season with a bone bruise.
Exactly.
Last year in San Antonio. And as frustrated as you can be with Kawhi, be more frustrated with the Clippers organization. Like, I don't know if we'll ever understand why they gave that money to Kawhi instead of Paul George. Like, whether you think Kawhi is better than Paul George when they're both playing, Paul George at the very least can give you 95 to 90% of what Kawhi is. He's way more consistent even with his own injury issues. So like, why did they lock up Kawhi and then let Paul George walk to Philly for nothing? Because now that Kawhi's injured, you're rolling out a roster in this brand new state-of-the-art arena and your headlining act is a 35-year-old James Harden.
Yeah, they ain't win it this year. Kawhi, like, he's basically cooked. I'm sorry to say it, but it's true. I hate to even say this. I don't want to put this into existence even more so. Thunder own the pick swap this year. It's unprotected because why protect a pick when you have Paul George and Kawhi for the future? So they could be adding Cooper Flag to a core of Shea, Chet, Jalen Williams, Lou Dort, Caruso, and Hartenstein.
That's the darkest timeline right there.
I don't want to see it. This is like Thanos, which is Wemby, taking on the Avengers. That is what we are headed to.
And all because of the Clippers. The good old Los Angeles Clippers. Like, so at the end of the day, who do you think's got the worst future in the NBA? Me personally, I mean, in last Friday's video, I said it was Phoenix. That was before the newest Kawhi injury news came out. I'm switching my answer. Like, Phoenix, their salary cap situation is worse. Their draft stock is marginally worse than the Clippers, but at the very least, they're gonna be decent as long as Booker and Durant are around. You can't say that about the Clippers. The Clippers, on their best day if Kawhi plays, are going to be an average basketball team.
Yeah, on top of that, you gotta add in the fact that, like, when the Suns blow it up, if they do, Booker can get you a good haul.
Yeah.
Durant's old. He can get you something. Like, some team will get Durant. Beal, he ain't getting you crap, and he's on no trade clause, so that's not gonna happen. But those two can get you something. No one is trading, like, much for Harden. No one in their right mind is trading for Kawhi. So really, the Clippers, the best thing they have right now is the new arena, and they got Steve Ballmer. That's about it. So I'm taking them as the worst situation. Like, I'm sorry, Clippers fans. You already have it rough. We tear into you all the time, but it just is what it is. It's not looking good for you guys.
That's the video, guys. Who do you think has the worst future in the NBA? I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like, as it really does help us out. And while you're here, why not check out some of our other videos as well? And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.